Hello class, my name is Joel Contreras, and for my career of choice, I picked an R&D tax consultant. So you may ask yourself, what is R&D? Well, R&D is research and development. Research and development is the way that R&D tax consultants make their decisions on which companies qualify for their tax return. So, how do tax consultants measure if the company qualifies for the R&D tax work? Simple, the four-part test. So, what is the four-part test? It's a test that, companies need to fulfill each part of this test to be eligible for our tax return. So the first one is elimination of uncertainty. You must demonstrate that you've attempted to eliminate uncertainty about the development or improvement of a product or process. In other words, something that has been changed solely for aesthetic purposes would not qualify. So an example would be, we visit a winery and they are trying different types of CO2 options for the different wines. That is elimination of uncertainty because you don't know what CO2 levels you need for the different types of wines. So whether it's a rosé, a red, white, it's different types of CO2s for each one. And then, second one, process of experimentation. You must demonstrate through modeling, simulation, systematic trial and error, and other methods that you've evaluated alternatives for achieving the desired result. So an example of that was sticking with the wineries is, well, as we call them, barrel trials is, we use different types of oaks to store the wine in. And that's an example of process of experimentation because you try different barrels from different states around the world and see what makes for the best wine storage. 3, technological in nature. The process of experimentation must rely on hard sciences, such as engineering, physics, chemistry, biology, or computer science. Simplify that a little more, work a lot with agriculture, big food manufacturers, and like wholesale companies like Costco, Sam's Club. 4, qualified purpose. The purpose of the research must be to create a new or improved product or process, resulting in increased performance, function, reliability, or quality. So, the company will say an example of this is the company has a piece of machinery that needs to be fixed. So constant upgrades and fixing to that would be an example of the qualified purpose. So what do you do as an R&D tax consultant? As a tax consultant, you help businesses identify both federal and state taxes. Tax incentive programs present tremendous savings opportunities, yet receive little publicity. As a result, hundreds of millions of tax dollars and credits remain unclaimed each year. What are the perks of working as an R&D tax consultant? The great thing about the field is there's always a constant need for R&D tax work. Alliant Group is a nation's premier provider of specialty tax services. They said, the research and development, which is R&D tax credit, remains one of the best opportunities for businesses to substantially reduce their tax liability. Businesses really rely on R&D tax firms to get that money because it helps them in the long run since they've, I wouldn't say wasted, but they've spent a lot of money on, all these trials and errors. So it's nice to get some of that back. How much does an R&D tax consultant make in California? The average salary for an R&D tax consultant is $87,450 per year in California. That's 38% above the national average, which is pretty good, but you won't be beginning with that most of the time. Beginning salaries range from about $40,000 to $60,000 from what I've seen in the industry and what I've seen online. And as you gain experience and work your way up in the company, you can make upwards of high hundred thousands, which is really good. What skills do you need to be a great consultant? Lots of the skills we talk about in class are used by consultants every day. Tax consultants attract clients with their social awareness, understanding of customer service, and communication skills. You're trying to convince the company to come to your firm and build that strong foundation of trust with them. Critical thinking and complex problem solving skills are also important in the tax consulting industry. When you work in the tax industry, you will run into complicated problems. The best consultants use logic to identify solutions to their problems. Success in the tax consulting field also requires superior judgment in decision making. Like that, meaning figuring out which projects qualify for the R&D tax. Because if they don't qualify, you're the company is losing out on money because you're giving them money that doesn't qualify for what work you're giving them. So what degree is needed to becoming an R&D tax consultant? Tax consultants commonly hold at least a bachelor's degree in accounting, taxation, or related field of study. Retaining a degree in accounting is huge because this gives you advantage in the work because you have so many assets, whether you work as a CPA, consultant in the tax world, or in a firm, you're highly valued. So how long does it take to become a tax consultant? First, you gotta earn your bachelor's degree, as I explained in the previous slide. Then get credentials. Not all tax consultants need to earn credentials. However, anyone who prepares a tax refund for clients must get a prepared tax identification number from the IRS, which are a lot of people in the R&D tax world. Then, land an entry job. The time it takes you to land an entry job offering may vary by the need of the job. So location, networking connections, and your qualifications over other candidates. That's why, location's always going to matter, and then, what skills do you bring to the table that other candidates don't will also help you a lot. So what work environment do you work in? R&D tax consultants typically work in offices or their firms, calculating the information and numbers they need to get when going on company visits with the businesses they work with. Occasionally, they go on company visits and interview workers and project leaders. But if being in the office is too boring for you, you can also travel while working around the world. For the companies that seek your work in the R&D tax world. So there's R&D tax consultants that usually stay local and work at a private firm and work as in their area of, we'll say, Sacramento. And then there's R&D tax workers that work all around the world, travel for the R&D taxing credits. So what's a typical day on this job? For the most part, you're working in an office setting with lots of number crunching, data analysis, and conference calls with employers and companies gaining the information you need for the tax return. Another big part of work is going on multiple company visits to help find out what projects qualify for the tax return, employee wages, and then talk to the workers, the project managers, and touring the business to see the actual R&D that's happening in the business. So my last slide is going to be, why do I want to be a tax consultant? I enjoy working with different people and companies and being able to make decisions to see whether the company qualifies or not. Even though people may think it's boring, I enjoy numbers and finding exact percentages along with being able to travel different places and meet different people and see what's up next for big companies. Like I've explained, you get to see what the company's working towards or, what has worked and what hasn't. So it's very interesting. And as you stay longer with your firm and if you put in the right work, the sky's the limit for you in the R&D tax world. There's always a constant need for this type of work. And Sacramento is a good spot for lots of R&D, and the city around Sacramento as well. And that's my slideshow. Thank you.